Part 25. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 241. Chapter 241 Preparation. Things are over. Mr. Song, MRS Song, Fan Qiuying, and Zhang Lishi then sat down to discuss the matter of the two children. Fan Qiuying also knows that the child is getting older. Can't keep it? Song Moding is good. This son-in-law is a man, and he knew that he was responsible as long as he faced Song Moding and faced the violent storms of the couple. Hyeguo bumped into Song Moding with a smile. Congratulations. Everyone is happy now. Zhang Lei shouldn't dare to cause trouble for himself. His parents both agree that he is considered a betrayal. Gu Dali stood there stupidly, feeling sad. He could say that he also liked Zhang Xiaoxiao, but he didn't dare to say it for fear of being beaten by the boss. Others congratulated warmly, and some were just as sad as Gu Dali. Everyone has mixed feelings. Song Moding glanced at Zhang Xiaoxiao and said, "Now I'm on the right track. Can we get married?" His desire to marry a wife is not excessive. At any rate, we are still 25, and it is not easy to find a wife. Zhang Xiaoxiao took Song Moding out. "Shh, I didn't see it. I saw a pair of mandarin ducks flying in the sky." Hyeguo deliberately causes harm. "I miss Jiashu so much. My thoughts are after seeing how sweet Song Moding and Zhang Xiaoxiao are." Suddenly he was ready to burst out. He also wanted a lover. The girl he likes hasn't come back yet. When she comes back, he must confess his feelings to her. Not even a moment. Cannot wait. Song Moding held Jiang's small hand with his backhand. It was as soft as boneless, but unfortunately there was a thin layer of calluses on the palm. The people doing farm work all have the same amount of hands. It is unlikely that there are no cocoons. "Xiao Xiao, don't worry. I will be very good to you and I will never let you down. We will be a family that loves each other." Song Moding's heartbeat accelerated slightly, but it was not uncomfortable. He likes this feeling of excitement. At last the time came, and the expectation had been tormenting him. Now he is finally going to get the girl he likes. A smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. This situation is really incredible. Suddenly she was about to marry Song Moding. "Wait a minute, who said you want to get married?" "My parents only agreed to their relationship, but they didn't say they would get married immediately." He was about to be led astray by Song Moding. "Were you hurt by what I said just now?" Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't want there to be a gap between two people who love each other just because of a word. But it's not her style not to explain clearly. Song Moding smiled and pinched her nose. "You think too much." "I was a little uncomfortable at first, feeling that I was suddenly not taken seriously. But I am very happy. You are a person who loves your family more than anything else. Now I want to be your family and be loved by you. I am a cherished member. What can I be unhappy about? You like this, it's really too late to make me happy. Xiao Xiao, I'm glad we are together." Zhang Xiaoxiao's eyes saw that his muscles were strong, showing the strength unique to a person who works hard every day. He is tanned, with black hair, a strong jaw, and two light marks beside his well-defined mouth. He was only wearing an ordinary blue overalls with rolled-up sleeves, old blue trousers and worn-out Jafang shoes. She found herself paying attention to his appearance, but without a word he destroyed all her senses. All her mental preparations were of no avail. A woman seems to meet a man in an instant who can ignite the passion she has accumulated for many years. She realizes this feeling and doesn't know what to do with herself. Damn it, Song Moding was the one she was destined for. Her eyes made him feel like he was going to sink into them and never get out of them. They were a pair of dark black eyes, with no trace of blue in the white part of the eyes. Looking so soft, even when they're wide open in shock. He wasn't sure what the expression was, but only now did he slowly notice that she seemed frightened. Zhang Xiaoxiao turned and left without saying a word. Afraid of saying something that will embarrass yourself. Song Moding chuckled. Mr. Song and Zhang Lishi sat together all afternoon and discussed a result. Let two people get married first. They returned to northern Beijing to prepare for a new house or something. Anyway, it is right for the two children to get married now. After Zhang Lishi accepted everything, he also felt that they should get married. Once settled, the two children can do their thing with peace of mind. Of course, Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi thought more about it. They discussed it in private and felt that the two young people were together all day long. Who had not grown up from being young and energetic? Control yourself. What if someone is killed? It's just a little early to get married now anyway. To put it bluntly, if you really want to get married and you are old enough, the country stipulates that you can get married if you are 18 years old. At least two people have obtained a marriage certificate. If they really have a child, no one else can say anything. It is definitely impossible to do big things. In today's era, frugality is all about frugality. Although the couple felt sorry for their daughter, for the sake of their daughter's reputation, they still felt that they should get the certificate first. Of course, Mr. Song and Ms. Song would prefer to get married early. For them, whether to have grandchildren is a big problem. The child is not close to the family. If he can really start a family early and have someone he likes by his side, it is better for two people to live together than to be alone outside. In addition, Zhang Xiaoxiao is indeed very popular with the two old people. This child is not only pretty, but also has a clever mouth. He also has a good temperament and a cheerful personality. When I am with my grandson, his eyes are bright, and his eyes can't help but follow the children. The corners of their mouths and eyebrows are full of joy. Just for this, the old couple can't say anything else. No matter what, they have to let their grandson have everything he wants for once in his life. When he was young, he encountered so many problems, and this child overcame them bit by bit, but at that time they could not help much. You can't prevent your son from getting married. Now, the only thing they can do to help their child is to let the child live as he wishes in the future. The two families have a common heart, so naturally this matter will go smoothly. Immediately went to the farm to find a letter of introduction from Li Dehua. Li Dehua was very happy when he heard that Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding were getting married. After all, it was a happy event on the farm. Last year there was a disaster on the farm, and everyone was in a bad mood. It would be great if there was something good to happen, and everyone would be happy. The two of them have their household registrations in the farm, so naturally it is very easy to get married. You can go through the formalities directly in the local area. After getting the letter of introduction and taking the wedding photos, you can go directly. The marriage formalities can be done in the county. This marriage formality cannot be done in the village. As soon as Guo Dongjun, the director of the forest farm, heard about this, he immediately asked someone to prepare a new house for them in the educated youth spot. There was of course a two-room room for them right next to their dormitory, which was regarded as their new house. I even asked everyone to come over and help clean up. Since Zhang Xiaoxiao delivered the baby to his daughter-in-law, the workers on the farm have all come to see Zhang Xiaoxiao if they have serious illness or minor disaster. Even if they are from the city, people trust the doctors in the city far more than they do as farm doctors. There are indeed many people who need to be taken care of by crossing the river. As soon as they heard that Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song's hiking were getting married, everyone immediately did their best. Not to mention that the new house will be packed up immediately. It was only in 1980 that national law stipulated that the legal age for marriage was 20 years old for women and 22 years old for men. But before 1980, the law stipulated that the legal age for marriage was 18 years old for women and 20 years old for men. So please don't spray. In those days, getting married early was not a problem. I don't want everyone to have various emotions towards Zhang Xiaoxiao because of his age at marriage. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 242. Chapter 242 Gift. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding found a day to go directly to the county seat. After all, they had to get a marriage certificate. Song Moding deliberately found the most formal clothes for himself. In fact, among the clothes he brought over was a very formal Mao suit. However, wearing a Mao suit in this weather would probably make people laugh to death. He thought this person was crazy, so he found one. In fact, after washing, I put on a white shirt with a white collar that has turned white. Having had his hair cut in advance, taken a shower, and shaved his beard, not to mention tidying up, the young man immediately stood out. Song Moding was almost 1.9 meters tall, so he looked very energetic. Standing in the yard, both mother-in-law and father-in-law immediately felt happy. This son-in-law is good-looking and has a good temperament. After getting along with him for the past 2 days, they also feel safe to entrust their daughter to Song Moding. Zhang Xiaoxiao was forced to pull out a pink Deliang shirt from the box and put it on. She had no choice but to put it on. Her mother had bought this shirt in the city and she was not willing to wear it. For the festive color there is no such strong requirement. Besides, at such a young age, I feel dazzling even if I wear this color when I go out. Who would wear this kind of clothes when working on a farm, so this piece of clothing has always been at the bottom of the box. This time it was good, her mother rummaged through it, took it out and ordered her to put it on. Dark, thick hair is styled into 2 braids hanging down on her shoulders. Zhang Xiaoxiao's skin was originally white. Although she got a lot of tan from working in the fields, her skin color was still fairer and brighter than others. Her eyebrows are picturesque, her skin is as white as jade, there is a slight smile at the corner of her mouth, and the light in her eyes exudes a charming charm. Fan Jiuying also specially applied so much cream on her face that she only had to apply powder on it. If it weren't for the difficulty of finding this kind of powder here on the farm, her mother might be able to force her to paint her eyebrows. Finally, the two of them got on the shuttle bus in embarrassment. Zhang Xiaoxiao was urging Song Moding to get in the car quickly, for fear that his mother would chase him. Fan Jiuying went back to find the red paper and said that her daughter's lips were not bright enough. The red paper could add some color to the lips, and the color on her face was also a little off. Applying the red paper up a little would add a little more pink. Zhang Xiaoxiao panicked when she thought about this result, fearing that her mother would dress her up with red cheeks and red lips. Just thinking about the 2 red spots on her cheeks made her want to grin. That was the standard for all young actors on stage in that era. They dressed up with red cheeks and a little red eyebrows, and their mother just had to add a little more red to her eyebrows. Song Moding really wanted to laugh when he saw Zhang Xiaoxiao escaping from the bus in a panic. Many people in the car saw the 2 of them dressed up, and many people whispered, mainly because they were dressed so brightly, and they looked like they were going to get a marriage certificate. Generally, in their place, people who can dress so neatly and beautifully when going out are mostly for weddings, and even visiting relatives cannot dress like this. Zhang Xiaoxiao blushed and stood towards the door. The car was already packed with people. Song Moding stood beside him, holding the handle of the car with one hand and protecting Zhang Xiaoxiao with his body. There were too many people in the car, and most people went to the county town to buy and sell things, so you can imagine how many things and people are in this car now. Chickens and ducks are even more indispensable. Fortunately, Zhang Xiaoxiao had already gotten used to it, and it wasn't his first time going to the county town anyway. After several hours of bumpy driving, they finally arrived at the county town. The 2 of them got out of the car, and Zhang Xiaoxiao finally took a breath. Xiaoxiao, Mo Ting, you are here. We have been waiting for you for a long time. Zhang Xiaoxiao heard the sound and turned around to see his eldest sister and brother-in-law holding their eldest daughter, smiling at them at the entrance of the station. "Sister, brother-in-law, why are you here? Don't you go to work today? How did you know we were coming? We are still holding Niu Niu. Come on, Niu Niu. Let me give you a hug." When Niu Niu saw her aunt, she immediately rushed towards her with open hands. Zhang Yu hugged the child tightly. "You girl will go crazy when she sees your aunt. In the past, you and your aunt were allowed to mess around, but not today. Your aunt came to the county town to do important things." The little girl looked unhappily at her own mother holding her so tightly, and twisted a little unhappily. "Sister, what are you talking about? Give me Niu Niu quickly. I've been thinking about the child for a long time." Zhang Xiaoxiao opened his hands and snatched Niu Niu from her mother's arms, held her in his arms, and gently tapped Niu Niu's white cheeks with his fingers. The little girl giggled happily. "If you like the child, you can have it yourself. Don't keep snatching away our girl. Today is the big event of getting married, and you are still lingering here. Your brother-in-law and I are here to wait for you." "No, your brother-in-law, I brought a bicycle. I borrowed it from Section Chief Wei. It will make it more convenient for you to go to the street. And this is 50 yuan. You and Mo Ting will go to the department store to buy some things later. It will be a little thought from the eldest sister and brother-in-law to give you a wedding. Don't be polite to me about this. There is a wedding coming soon, so I have to buy some wedding candies or something. Even if you don't want it, there are so many people on the farm and we can't just sit around." The couple was afraid that their sister and brother-in-law would go back early after receiving their marriage certificate and they would not be able to catch up, so they came here in advance to block them. Zhang Xiaoxiao said, "No, sister, I am your sister, how can you be so polite? If you are like this, I will not be happy. She has a lot of money. She has at least 70,000 to 80,000 yuan in her bank book. Who would have known that she is now a rich woman? You kid, you helped your sister just because you are my sister. How much does your brother-in-law do? I just gave you a gift of 50 yuan now. This is still a lot. If you do this, are you forcing me? Can you and your brother-in-law return the 1,000 yuan to you immediately?" Zhang Yu was not happy. She prepared the 50 yuan after discussing it with Qin Ming. The two of them discussed it for a long time and felt that giving 50 yuan to their sister could not express their feelings. They were grateful to Zhang Xiaoxiao. This sister was so kind to them. It's good to take heart and soul. Both people will feel guilty if they don't do something to show off. In fact, the couple prepared a bicycle for Zhang Xiaoxiao. They have already obtained the bicycle tickets and money, but there is no stock in the department store. They have asked Section Chief Wei to think of a way, and they estimate that they should be able to arrive in the next 2 days. They thought they could give their sister the bicycle to take to the farm before getting married. After all, it would be easier for them to go back and forth if they had a bicycle. But this cannot be said. The bicycle is a bicycle. They think that it will cost a lot of money for two people to get married, at least to prepare for the wedding. They don't know the situation on their farm. They were hit by a disaster last year, so they paid the money once at the end of the year. There is no autumn harvest this year, so how can we have money to give them? At this time, let them use their own money to organize the wedding. Both of them are educated youths. They are so far away from home, so they cannot ask their families for money now. Naturally, it is very strenuous to do marriage. No matter how the two of them have wages every month. Of course, it was also because Zhang Yu didn't want her sister's wedding to be so shabby. When I got married, I just got married together, not to mention treating everyone to wedding candy. Her mother-in-law was so stubborn that at most there was a small plate of candies on one table, and no one could get a piece of the candies. Let alone melon seeds and peanuts, I didn't buy them at all. Later, many people were asked to speak. So she hopes that her sister's marriage will be lively, and her parents are here this time. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 243. Chapter 243 Betrothal Gift. This is my eldest sister's wish, let's accept it. Song Moding spoke. Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't understand. She absolutely doesn't believe that Song Moding is greedy for money. She can absolutely trust Song Moding's character. I think it's better for me as my brother-in-law, so just accept it happily. You take advantage of this time to get your marriage certificate first. After a while, go to the department store to see if there is anything you want to buy. You're late. It may not be available yet. By the way, I also put some candy coupons for you in the 50 yuan. You always need candy coupons to buy fruit candies. The supply and marketing cooperatives may not have that many peanuts, melon seeds, etc. Maybe you can go to the market to take a look. Recently, a small market opened next to our house. Although there are not many people, farmers from all around come here to sell things. Sometimes I can also see people selling melon seeds, peanuts, and snacks. Zhang Yu and the others took an hour's leave. They had to go to work quickly now and could no longer argue with the couple here. The two men left in a hurry. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and shook his head. This is the eldest sister. Song Moding stuffed the money into Zhang Xiaoxiao's bag. You didn't see it? This was agreed upon by the eldest sister and the eldest brother-in-law. How sad you would be if you rejected them. Since the eldest sister and the eldest brother-in-law used your quota to come to work in the county, they probably feel bad too. Always feel like they are taking advantage of you. While they were getting married, the two of them probably wanted to make some compensation to their sister. Of course, this is what your eldest sister wants to express to you. Why should you refuse others thousands of miles away? We have collected the things now. Next time, we will find a way to buy something for my eldest brother-in-law and just return this. You sometimes make the distinction too clearly. How can a family care about each other so much? Song Moding took her and left. The person holding the hand is honest and upright. Not seeing so many people paying attention to them on the street, Zhang Xiaoxiao could only throw his hands away. There is no such custom in this era, even a couple would not dare to hold hands like this on the street. I know, sometimes it is indeed my fault. I forget how kind-hearted my eldest sister and my eldest brother-in-law are. If I get such a big favor, I will definitely feel uncomfortable. I know. I accept this money, and I accept it with peace of mind. This is the gift money my eldest sister gave me. Of course I have to keep it well and go shopping, and spend it all in a while. Comrade Xiao Song, please be careful, you will marry a prodigal daughter-in-law in the future. Be careful. It's not too late to regret it now. Zhang Xiaoxiao proudly raised the 50 yuan, stuffed it into his skull bag, and patted the bag with his hand. Song Moting smiled, his heroic brows filled with pampering. How could you go back on your word? Isn't marrying a daughter-in-law just to help you lose your fortune? Don't worry, you can't lose everything. The ginseng in our forest field is still waiting for us to share the money. If we two together can, it's a lot of money. I'm taking advantage of my wife. At the moment when Song Moding was proud and called his daughter-in-law, he seemed to feel that this woman was finally his. Song Moding rode on his bicycle and patted the back seat. Come on, my wife, come up quickly, let's go. The moment Zhang Xiaoxiao jumped into the back seat, the two of them simultaneously remembered a scene they seemed familiar with. Both men laughed. Thanks for the photos, they came to the county in advance a few days ago to take them. Otherwise, they would have been off work after a few hours of getting the photos. Holding this piece of paper, The two people looked at the wedding photo of the two people side by side. They were both happy. They were married. Although these wedding photos are all black and white, they represent that the two people have become an official couple. Song Moding put the marriage certificate into Zhang Xiaoxiao's school bag and continued walking with her on his bicycle. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw that Song Moding was walking in the wrong direction. Wasn't this direction going to the post office? Comrade Xiao Song, aren't we going to the department store? If I remember correctly, we were in the opposite direction. Your bicycle is going the wrong way. Let's go to the post office to get something first, and then go to the department store to buy something more. The two people arrived at the post office quickly. Song Moding took out a slip from his pocket and handed it to the staff. After a while, the staff took out a package and handed it directly to them. Have them sign and stamp the list. At this time, they must stamp their personal seals when receiving or sending things. Zhang Xiaoxiao glanced at the address above. It seemed that it was sent from Haishi. She also knew that Song Moding's family had different backgrounds. Naturally, they had relatives and friends from all over the world. Including the old man and the old lady. How many comrades are there? They are all over the country. It is estimated that because of their wedding, someone must have sent gifts. Song Moding patted the package with a proud look on his face. Daughter-in-law, this is the betrothal gift I have prepared for you. You must take it back and take a closer look at what I have bought you. He bought these things, which made Lao Dajin very fat. Grandpa's comrades helped, and his own hair helped a little. In this day and age, even the post office has to find someone to help. Otherwise, within 10 days and a half, these things may not be able to be sent, and there is a possibility that they will be damaged on the way. Zhang Xiaoxiao was surprised. The betrothal gift? My parents never asked for a bride price. Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi didn't mention the betrothal gift, mainly because it was a family like this, and it was pointless to talk about the betrothal gift with them. Their family is not short of such money. The old lady has already opened her mouth and said that she must have 3 big items, 36 legs. As long as they return to Beijing, she will definitely buy them all. Who are the old man and the old lady? They don't lack this little money, and they won't lie about this matter. Besides, my grandma told me that she had prepared 3 big items. I originally said I didn't want them, but she still insisted on preparing them. In fact, watches, bicycles, and sewing machines are of no use to us now. I mainly consider that once the two of us take the college entrance examination and are admitted to university, we will leave here in the spring of next year. It's not a waste to prepare these things. Is it possible that we can move out by then? People of this era are very simple when they get married, and the bride price is not as high as it will be in the future. Of course, there is also the issue of asking for betrothal gifts, but everyone wants to discuss it with each other. After all, no one is rich, and ordinary people may not be able to afford 3 big items, but if you don't have 3 big items, you have to prepare at least 1 or 2. Anyway, these are things that can be discussed. These things are normal to outsiders, but for the two of them, they are really unnecessary now, because it is impossible for 2 people to build a lifelong home here. These things have become something external to them. I also told Grandma that Grandma prepared these things. We really don't need it now, but Grandma said that we don't need it and that we should prepare it are 2 different things. After all, our family must be formal when marrying a wife, otherwise, it would be a bit sorry. Her grandson-in-law. That is respect. Out of respect for the woman, Grandma said that everything was ready, but she would put it directly in northern Beijing. The new house in Beijing will be neatly tidied up for us so that we can live in it directly when we return. Anyway, that house was originally left to me by my grandma. So don't worry about that stuff. These things I got for you are from my heart, and they are the betrothal gifts I specially prepared for you. Zhang Xiaoxian felt warm. Women often say what they mean. They clearly say that they don't love money, even if there are no betrothal gifts. It doesn't matter if they don't have these gifts, as long as they are for love. But in fact, who doesn't want to be respected and cherished by his husband? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 244. Chapter 244, Busy as Hell. The two people came out of the post office and ran directly to the department store. Zhang Xiaoxiao asked in a low voice, "You went to deliver the examination that day," but Director Jin just accepted it without saying anything. Song Moding nodded and replied seriously, "Yes, I sent it over." Director Jin checked it and didn't say anything. Zhang Xiaoxin thought it was impossible. Director Jin just picked it up high and put it down gently. "Although I think it is impossible, it is too late to pursue it now. Director Jin should have returned to the county seat by now. It seems that I will find an opportunity to take revenge in the future. Anyway, if the quota for returning to the city is granted for the first time, there will be a second and third time. If you want to choke them, Director Jin will always find a way." When the two of them entered the department store, they definitely had to buy something, not to mention Zhang Yu and the others taking it into consideration. Mr. Song and Mrs. Song had already thought about it and gave their grandson 500 yuan when they arrived. The grandson will get married once in his life. As old people, they naturally want their children to have a lively marriage. In this era, there was no extravagance and waste, let alone banquets. At most, tables were put together, some melon seeds and peanut candies were placed, and everyone performed performances. Because Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding are very popular, it is estimated that there will be a lot of people going there, at least more than 100 people from the farm and forest farm combined. Song Moding bought 5 cartons of cigarettes, 10 kilograms of fruit candies, 100 kilograms of peanuts and 100 kilograms of melon seeds. Not to mention some things like the word Hong 11. He always bought things according to Grandma's list. The two of them took the shopping and locked their bicycles in Zhang Yu's yard, and took the shuttle bus back directly. How did the two of them know that the old man, the old lady, Fan Qiuying, and Zhang Lao were so busy here? Getting married was not such a simple matter, although there was no need to prepare furniture or anything. But bedding and other things must be prepared. After all, we are new. There have been many people coming to the forest farm to help in the past 2 days. Fan Qiuying and Mrs. Song are both enthusiastic and cheerful people, so they naturally get along very happily with everyone. The women in the forest farm also came to help. Mrs. Song has already had a bunch of things sent over from the county town, including newly purchased cotton and quilts to make quilts. After all, if your husband's family prepares, your mother's family must also prepare. Fan Qiuying originally wanted to go shopping in the county town and buy something, but the old lady said, "Why bother? Since I happen to have this connection, I just need to bring them over." They drove here, so Fan Qiuying will pay her share of the money. She won't argue with Fan Qiuying, a mother. The old lady said it so straightforwardly. Fan Qiuying herself didn't want to be a xiaosu person. But when making quilts, 2 people can't do so much. After all, there are only 2 of them. So many women in the forest farm were invited to help. It was much faster if we all worked together. In addition, their 2 new houses need to be painted, and some cabinets, tables, etc. need to be purchased. Zhang Lishi is not idle as a father. He knows a little carpentry. That's a hobby. You can't treat your daughter badly now. The squeamish look of my own daughter. Zhang Lishi bought his daughter a large wardrobe and a Kong table. The handiwork is so good that even the workers in the forestry are envious, even though they are also doing carpentry work in the forestry. But there is still a slight gap compared with Zhang Lishi. Zhang Lishi is still in the city, and it is also the capital. This craftsmanship is fashionable, and there is no paint at all, but it feels smooth to the touch. He doesn't want to have sex. His daughter is very delicate and easily gets allergies and pimples when she smells the smell of paint. How dare he let his delicate little girl become allergic? By the way, he also helped them renovate all the doors and windows, giving the whole house a brand new look. He also specially led people to clear the path of the Kong himself and tidy up the Kong. 2 days after the fire was lit, the Kong was completely dry, and mats were made and spread on it. After Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others came back, the house had already changed drastically, and all these things were being operated there without telling them. Mainly because the educated youth are busy, they are still busy harvesting ginseng in the fields. Even when Song Moding and Zhang Xiaoxiao went to get their marriage certificate, it took the two of them half a day to go there. Several people are busy working in the fields during the rest of the time. Who wants to rest? The two men came back and handed the things to Fan Qiuying and the old lady. Actually, these two are in charge of everything in the house, and they are both busy working in the fields. Now even the cooking in the kitchen is done by Fan Qiuying and the old lady. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't have time to take a look at his betrothal gift, mainly because they were busy from morning to dusk, and when they came back they wanted to fall asleep on the Kong. There is not even enough time to eat, so there is no time to think. Fan Qiuying and the old lady also felt sorry for these children and tried various tricks to make delicious food for them, but it was still to no avail. More than a dozen people watched as they lost weight. They got their marriage certificate back, but Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding both said that when they finished harvesting the ginseng in their fields, they would celebrate happily together. It just happened to be a celebration for them to see the profits for the first time, so of course they had the time to get married. Otherwise, if you are already so tired, who would have the time to get married? Finally, after more than 20 days, the ginseng in the field was harvested. On the last day to harvest ginseng, they estimated that it would take at least half a day to harvest it, so Song Moding contacted the person who collected the ginseng in advance, and they had already made an agreement. Come and collect it on the same day, and you will be paid upon delivery. This does not wait until they finish harvesting the ginseng. Gu Dali was afraid that there would be something left in the ground, so he specially found a few educated youths and plowed the entire land again with a sledge. To my surprise, even the broken ginseng seeds were not left out, not to mention the 1 or 2 kilograms of ginseng they left behind at the end. When the harvesters came up, they packed all the ginseng stored in the house into bags and took them out one sack at a time. It shocked everyone who collected mountain products, mainly because people in the forest farm have been reluctant to grow ginseng in the past 2 years. The main thing is to put in the effort. No one has the effort. The forest farm is short of manpower, and the forest land is too scattered. Most of the forest farm workers have to go up to the mountains to cut trees. This kind of work has to be handed over to the family members and women of the farm. After several wild beast attacks, the forest farm workers stopped doing it. Now, I am working the mountain. If the family members are in some danger, the harvest from the little land they plant will not be as much as the money spent on medical treatment. Furthermore, there was a snowstorm last year, so they didn't expect to have a good harvest this year, but they really didn't expect that these young people really grew this ginseng, which was really good. The harvester opened the sack and took a look. It's too shocking. Whoever dares to say that this is ginseng grown for a year will be sprayed in his face. Song Moding also knew that the ginseng they planted was a bit strange. Let's discuss it in private, even with the old man and the old lady. It's not like there are no wild ginsengs that have been around for more than 10 years. It takes time to grow them, and the time is precisely what they can't explain. Then just don't explain it and let them guess on their own. You can't be told everything. This is a no-brainer. Because they themselves can't explain it clearly. Zhang Xiaoxiao touched his nose and decided to use spring water with caution in the future. Something big will happen. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 245. Chapter 245 cents. But the person who collected the mountain goods was so happy that he really didn't expect such a big harvest this time. Comrade Xiao Song, you ginseng. To be honest, it only lasts for 10 years. In fact, it's a bit of a pity. If the ginseng can be grown for a few more years, the ginseng in these decades can be sold for a lot of money. But the current price is definitely much higher than that of annual ginseng. But it's not much higher. I'll give you a real price. For one caddy, it's only 3 yuan. Other educated youths took a breath when they heard this offer. There are stars in my eyes. They had weighed this batch of ginseng in advance. It is estimated that it weighs 80,000 kilograms. According to this, that is 240,000 yuan. There are 13 of them in total, and each person can get at least more than 10,000 yuan, almost 20,000 yuan. How is it possible to prevent them from becoming angry? Song Moding's expression did not change. Uncle Li, the price you mentioned is not the market price. I have inquired about 10-year-old ginseng. It costs at least 9 yuan to sell it in the county town. Although that is the selling price, your price is too far apart. Even if you want to make money, you have to be close to it. It's not easy for our kind of ginseng, so we have to work hard. Li Erniu looked a little embarrassed. At first I thought these educated youths knew nothing, but I didn't expect that people actually inquired about the market situation. But there is no ginseng in the county at the moment. Who can quote the price? Comrade Xiao Song, although ginseng is sold for 9 yuan in this county, these 9 yuan include shipping costs, as well as post-processing and other processes. You see, you are just collecting it. Without any processing and not dried. I will have to spend a lot of labor money later, otherwise, I won't be able to eat so much ginseng in such a large amount by myself. Always let me earn some hard-earned money. What is pitiful is that they are unwilling to add money. Zhang Xiaoxiao walked over and said, Uncle Li, your price is really not good. We originally thought that you had been here twice and had seen our finished ginseng products. So we all went with the acquaintance price, but who would have thought of the price you gave us? It is indeed too low. Yesterday, Zheng Aniu came up and gave us 5 yuan a pound, but we didn't sell it. We felt that we were acquaintances after all, so it would be better to sell it raw than to sell it cooked. After all, we promised you first. You have to be honest, first come, first served. But I didn't expect that the price you gave us was so low. If we wanted to do what you said, we would have to call Zheng Aniu. As promised, a car will be sent out at any time to ensure payment and delivery. This Zheng Aniu is a collector of mountain goods nearby. To put it bluntly, he is Li Erniu's opponent. Li Erniu cursed in his heart, this old Zheng Aniu came to tear him down, he knew it was this guy who did the good deeds. If the educated youth can name this person by name, they must know him. Otherwise, it would be impossible to produce Zheng Aniu with just one mouthful. This cost him at least tens of thousands of dollars this time. You must know that he originally wanted to sell this batch of goods directly to Guangxi at a lower price, but he could make a lot of money. He has already contacted the buyer, and the pharmaceutical factory there will accept it. The price is much higher than this, 10 yuan per caddy, and you get what you pay for. Li Erniu is feeling distressed. The problem is that if he doesn't increase the price now and these young people turn around and actually contact Zheng Aniu, then he will suffer a big loss. Gnashing his teeth, okay. I won't say anything else. Since he gave you 5 yuan, I will also give you 5 yuan. I have accepted all the goods. Everyone cheered immediately. There was a big difference between 5 yuan and 3 yuan. According to what they said, the difference was 160,000 yuan. With the help of educated youths, we weighed and loaded the truck, and the weight was indeed 80,200 kilograms. Songmoding and the others directly wiped out the fraction of 200 kilograms. The main reason is that they took so much money at once, which was a windfall. What if Liurnia went out to spread the word? A dozen of them would be at the forefront of the storm. Giving someone a little advantage would naturally be regarded as silencing Liurnia. Liurnia understood that these young educated youths were quite good at things, especially songmoding in front of him. He was kind and powerful at the same time. Just by waving towards the military green jeep driven by the old man's driver, he understood that this family I have a backing at home, so I don't get into trouble like this, and I keep my mouth shut. And these 200 kilograms of ginseng are worth at least several thousand yuan. Since I got thousands of yuan for free, I will naturally do things more appropriately. Half a day later, 400,000 yuan was placed directly in the house. It took a lot of effort for the educated youths to just count the money. After all, no one is an accountant, so how can they have the ability to make a little money? Each one holds the money in piles and piles. Finally, I put the numbers together and finally figured out 400,000. More than a dozen people were extremely excited. Who had ever seen so much money? When I came here, if my family could bring me 20 or 30 yuan, then my family was already quite wealthy, but now my family is still crying and asking them to send money home. Now I suddenly became rich overnight. Even the old man and the old lady, who were well informed, were shocked when they saw such a large amount of money. I really didn't expect that these educated youths would actually do something big. You must know that the first time this small group started experimenting, all the profits went to themselves. There are 13 children in total, 400,000. On average, a person can get more than 30,000 yuan. Gudali and Patriot, they were sitting at the table, watching the 400,000 people with their eyes shining. Each of them had green eyes, and they were even more wolfish than that wolf. Songmoding was given a slap in the face. Otherwise, everyone would be stunned when looking at money. Okay, let's divide the money quickly while the weather is still early. Everyone has a holiday tomorrow morning, and then we all go to the county to deposit the money quickly. If you want to send it home, you can send it to your home. If you want to save, you can directly find a credit card. Social survival. Stop staying on the farm. If something happens, it will be difficult. Everyone must keep their mouths shut, and this matter cannot be spoken out. Regardless of whether it is a forest farm or a farm, if they find out about this, I am afraid it will cause an uproar. Although the captain has already said that we should guarantee the output to each household and all the profits will belong to us personally, this is not a small sum of money. I'm afraid it will make others jealous, but everyone knows better. 10 people nodded in unison. They don't understand the importance of getting rich and getting rich. They must keep a low profile at this time. Even if they were beaten to death, they would not tell anyone. Songmoding divided the money for each person, 30,000 yuan per head, and everyone agreed to give the remaining 10,000 yuan to Zhang Xiaoxiao. After all, it was Zhang Xiaoxiao who came up with the idea of growing ginseng, and the ginseng seedlings it was Zhang Xiaoxiao who took the lead in raising him. Without Zhang Xiaoxiao, how could they have the ability to plant this ginseng? The land might have been barren. Even if they were to plant it, they would probably be planting something like sesame seeds and mung beans. Will there be a harvest? Question. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 246. Chapter 246, It doesn't matter whether you are a biological child or not. The people here have just distributed the money, and each of them carried the money back to his dormitory, hiding the money under the quilt for fear of losing it, and hiding it in the cupboard for fear of losing it. In the end, everyone had no choice but to wrap the money neatly and put it under their pillow. Zhang Xiaoxiao collected the money for Jiashu. She was a little worried. Jiashu had been gone for more than 20 days and she still hadn't come back. Not a single phone call or letter, and I don't know what happened at home. This was not the case in my previous life. It seems that Jiashu came back not long after she returned in her last life. No matter how worried she was about Jiashu, they didn't know the address of Jiashu's home if she didn't come back. It is impossible to ask for leave to go to Jiashu because of this, and it is impossible for the leader of the production team to allow them to issue this letter of introduction. Zhang Xiaoxiao happily hugged 40,000 yuan and went directly to find his parents. Fan Jiuying and Zhang Lishi had never seen this formation before, and they were frightened. It was 40,000 people, and they would never see it in their lifetime. "You kid, what are you doing here with money in the middle of the night? What if someone bumps into you and robs you?" Zhang Lishi scolded. "Hurry and close the door." They lived in Zhang Xiaoxiao's dormitory, and Jiashu was not there, so Zhang Xiaoxiao vacated the dormitory for them. Zhang Xiaoxiao has been living in the new house these 2 days. "Mom and Dad, we have a holiday tomorrow, let's go to the county seat and save this money quickly, then part of it will be sent back to you. I have thought about it and will give you 10,000 yuan. I will save the remaining 20,000 yuan. If there is another 10,000 yuan, the eldest sister, the second sister and the third brother will share one share among the 3 of us." In fact, Zhang Xiaoxiao is really not short of money. He still has tens of thousands of yuan. With the addition of the 20,000 yuan, she has a full 100,000 yuan. Zhang Xiaoxiao thought that after going back, he could buy a courtyard house with the money. "You can also do a lot of things you want to do." Zhang Lishi shook his head. Fan Jiuying felt complicated. If anyone says they are not moved when they see money, it is a lie. They are all ordinary people. They have never seen so much money in their lives. No one in every household is worried about money. Although their family got those few gold bars because of Zhang Xiaoxiao, a lot of money was exchanged. But how dare the couple spend the money randomly? They were all saved for their children. Every day is still stressful. Who would have thought that if he turned around, his daughter would get tens of thousands of dollars back? If their daughter had offered to give them money before, they would have accepted it. After all, she was their own daughter, and it was impossible for her to be so alienated from her. But now that my daughter has received her marriage certificate, she needs to really talk about it. People have a small family. Zhang Xiaoxiao split the money, but Song Moding knew it. If she gave the money to her parents, brothers, and sisters, the Song family would not be happy. They were worried that their son-in-law would have feelings for their daughter and that their daughter's elbows would be turned outward. "Don't do this nonsense. You have divided such a large amount of money. This is your own money. Your parents don't need to give you money. We have retirement wages, enough to eat and drink. Your brothers and sisters all have jobs. Which one of them has a good life? They can all live on, and it's not like they can't get rid of the problem, and they still need you, as their sister, to give them money." Zhang Lishi is a stubborn person and cannot let his daughter do whatever he wants. "Dad, why is this nonsense? I divided this money, which is also the income of my labor, the money I earned hard. If you don't be filial to my parents, who will you be filial to? You have retirement wages, that's yours. The thing is, your retirement salary is just enough for your own food and drink. My daughter gives you this money so that you can keep it with you so that you can use it immediately if there is anything at home in the future. We don't have to look at people's faces, and we don't have to be humble to ask for help. We don't have to worry about personal relationships at home. Although both brothers and sisters have jobs, the brother has not yet started a family, and life is not easy for the 2 sisters. If they could hold more money in their hands, they could live a more comfortable life. I obviously have the ability, but I keep all the money in my own hands. I enjoy myself here and watch you all suffer. Do you think I can spend this money alone with peace of mind? Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that her parents felt sorry for her, but she felt sorry for this family even more. All her family members had lived such miserable lives in their previous lives. But no one has ever given up on her. Even if she treats them politely, they still treat her well. Even if she puts all her efforts into this relationship, it will never be enough. Zhang Xiaoxiao hopes that each of them can live happily and comfortably, and never have to worry about money again. It's just a little money now, but they will have more in the future. The highest state of life is to be able to live without having to worry about money. Fan Qiuying sighed, "You child, your parents know that you are thinking about us and want to be filial to us. But after all, the situation is different now. You are married and have a husband. You have to discuss it with them. You make this decision privately. Xiao Xiao, you have to remember that you are a family person now that you are married, and you do not have the final say in this family alone. The two of them need to discuss and make decisions together. Parents don't want this money, it doesn't mean that parents are so noble and don't like money when they see it. Who doesn't like money? But your parents want you to live happily, and the couple must live their lives in a negotiated way. You must always remember that you cannot be self-righteous. Although your son-in-law likes you very much, loves you very much, is willing to accommodate you, and is willing to do many things for you, but everyone is mutual, and you cannot develop a dictatorial and self-righteous attitude just because of this temper. Sooner or later, you will suffer a loss. This child has not remembered that his identity has changed. Similarly, I couldn't adapt to the fact that my daughter suddenly became someone else's daughter-in-law. Zhang Xiaoxiao went back reluctantly. Lying on the kong, unable to sleep. She really reflected on whether she didn't take her married status too seriously. I got married late in my previous life, and since my husband passed away a few years ago, I never remarried. It seems that everything is the same person, and she has not consciously integrated herself into a new identity, nor has she realized her responsibilities as a wife and daughter-in-law. It seems that she has not realized that Song Moding is her husband. Zhang Xiaoxiao was deeply awakened by the words of his parents. No matter what he experienced in his previous life, it has nothing to do with Song Moding. There is no reason for him to bring his temper and personality into his current life. This is unfair to Song Moding, and also unfair to himself. But she is more grateful to her parents. In the previous life, Yehua and Fang Ziwen had no objections to her marriage at all, let alone put themselves in her shoes. This is the difference between relatives. It has nothing to do with whether you are biological or not. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 247. Chapter 247, I will blame her. Early the next morning. It's past 4 o'clock, and every one of them looks like they've been given chicken blood. Everyone is up. Who can sleep? I spent the entire night worrying about the money under my pillow. Who can psychologically withstand this kind of sudden wealth? Anyway, none of them had a good sleep last night. So we all got up early in the morning. We were going to the county town anyway, so we had to take the shuttle bus early. Everyone can also follow each other, watch the sunrise and other things, and feel the feelings. Sleep, I definitely can't sleep, it's better to get up and get up. So this morning was probably the earliest day I got up, washed my face one by one, and had breakfast. This breakfast was cooked by the boy himself without disturbing the old lady. Zhang Xiaoxiao realized when he got up, okay, everyone else got up earlier than her, but she was so careless that she actually had a good night's sleep. Song Moding was very happy when he saw the astonishment on Zhang Xiaoxiao's face and the refreshed men in the yard. This little girl's expression makes people feel strange no matter how she looks at it. I've prepared the washing water for you. You go and wash your face. I'll serve you some food. After we finish eating, we'll go to the county town together. You can ask your uncle and aunt if they want to go there together. We're just on our way. He left these words and went to the kitchen to serve food. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the wash basin in front of him. When I touched it, it turned out to be warm water, and there were towels and soap in front of me. Sigh, this feeling of being pampered is really different, even though I was married in my previous life. But the man in her family did not let her do heavy work, and he had no other bad habits. But to say he cared about her at all, he really didn't mean it. Zhang Xiaoxiao never made comparisons in his previous life, and always thought that couples were probably like that. The water from the well does not interfere with the water from the river. The man does the heavy work at home, and the woman does the housework and takes care of the children. This may be the life of every couple. But now it seems that something is different. It turns out that couples can get along like this. A man will notice such a small thing, and even do everything for her considerately. This feeling is indeed very easy to be moved. Zhang Xiaoxiao was thinking about it while washing her face. She thought about it for half the night last night, tossing and turning, just thinking about this matter. The parents are right. This money has become their income after marriage, so it is the joint property of the husband and wife. She should have made a plan after discussing it with Song Moding instead of talking to herself. If you want to be a lifelong couple, you must first respect each other and yourself. The Song Moding she knew was not the kind of person who was unreasonable or selfish. Let's not seize the money, let alone love money as much as life. To put it bluntly, Song Moding is actually a very ambitious and visionary man. Since I admit that the man I am looking for is someone I can rely on and trust. Why can't you talk to this man about some of your plans? Think about it and finish washing your face. Song Moding has already called her. Come and eat quickly, and I'll take care of the water for washing your face later. Zhang Xiaoxiao took the towel out, put it on the wire rope in the yard, and then poured a basin of water directly into the yard. This is a habit in rural life. Song Moding was kind to her, but she was not an ungrateful person. If others respect you, you should respect others as well. Coming. Zhang Xiaoxiao's crisp voice made Song Moding's eyes tender. This girl really couldn't get enough pain. Comrade Xiao Song, have you eaten? If you haven't eaten, come with me to eat something. If you have eaten, then sit with me for a while. I want to talk to you for a while. Song Moding Waner, Comrade Xiao Song. Is it possible that from now on we will all call ourselves Comrade Xiao Song? How can any daughter-in-law address her husband like this? Daughter-in-law, we have all received the certificate. It would be inappropriate for you to call me that again, wouldn't it? Still call me Comrade Xiao Song, and change it to Comrade Lao Song when I get older. Song Moding sat next to her and began to peel her eggs. They raised a group of pheasants themselves, so naturally they didn't save the eggs. Everyone has developed the habit of eating an egg for each person every morning, which is a must for breakfast. Girls are given special treatment. Each female educated youth is given 2 eggs in the morning. Zhang Xiaoxiao took a bite of the big white steamed bun and said, "The problem is that I don't want to call you Comrade Xiao Song. It seems a bit inappropriate to call you Song Moding with both your first name and surname. So what do you think I should call you?" The dark eyes are sparkling. Song Moding handed the egg to her. "My mother called me Erding when she was little. Since my mother passed away, no one has called me by this name. From now on, you can call me Erding. This name will only be your exclusive." Zhang Xiaoxiao was surprised. "It's really strange, why does your mother call you Brother Erding? This name sounds like there is a story. You really want to know? Of course there is no one who is not curious. If you don't believe it, go ask them and tell them you called Brother Erding to see if they are weird. I guess they will have to chase after you. Why is it called Erding? I'll tell you later, but what do you want me to say to you now that you're sitting here?" Songmoding changed the subject, feeling a fever in his ears. He couldn't tell his wife how the name Erding came from. Can you explain it clearly to yourself when you were a child? This is dark history. If Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that he loved Er when he was little, and every time his mother hugged him and kissed him, she would tell him that he was so erotic and would never find a wife in the future. But now he not only found a wife, but also the most beloved wife. The black history cannot be explained, otherwise I would not have the dignity and face as a man. It makes sense for me to be the second eldest child. As expected, Zhang Xiaoxiao remembered his problem and whispered, "Brother Song, I want to discuss something with you. This time our ginseng was sold for so much money. I want to give some money to my parents, brothers, and sisters. I mean a total of 40,000 yuan. The remaining 20,000 yuan is regarded as our family's property, and the other 10,000 yuan is given to my parents, and the remaining 10,000 yuan is given to my brothers and sisters. My parents have retired, and they still have grandparents to support. They have no reimbursements, let alone pensions. They may get sick at any time when they are older. I am afraid that my parents will encounter some urgent need for money. Anyway, they keep some money on hand. When you are in urgent need, you don't need to ask others to borrow it." Looking at Songmoding longingly, she wondered what Songmoding would think. Would he feel that he was acting arbitrarily and did not regard herself as his wife? "Are you discussing with me, or informing me?" Songmoding looked at Zhang Xiao's bright, water-like eyes full of worry. This girl really cared about her own feelings. I couldn't help but feel warm in my heart. Since his mother passed away, although his grandparents also loved him, their love was different from Zhang Xiaoxiao's care for him. This girl was worried that she would be disgusted with this matter and blame her. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 248. Chapter 248. Where people are, money is. It's a discussion. If you don't agree, I respect your opinion. Do you think I give my parents too much money? If you have any objections, just say it. You are so silent, which makes me feel sick. 8 times. Zhang Xiaoyan's eyes flashed with worry. Songmoding scratched Jiang's small nose with his finger. A vague smile appeared on his lips. What do you have to worry about? Your man has long said that I am your support, and your confidence. You have my backing behind you in everything you do. What are you afraid of? You can do whatever you want. What are you doing? Don't think about it so much in the future. Your man is not so narrow-minded. The money you earn will be yours from now on, and the money I earn will be yours from now on. Besides, you are filial to your parents, so what's wrong with that? Also, brothers and sisters, their lives are not easy, so since we can help a little. Don't worry, I will treat your parents as my parents, and your brothers and sisters as my brothers and sisters. Don't be so hesitant, don't worry, I'll have something to say about it. I married you not to ask you to live cautiously with me. I just hope that you will be as happy and cheerful as before, live happily, and continue to be yourself. It's just that there is one more person to pamper you and one more person to protect you. I am not trying to marry you back to kill your own character, kill everything about yourself, and make you my obedient little wife. I just want Zhang Xiaoxiao to live happily and freely, and Xiaoxiao can go there boldly and confidently. Go ahead, I'm behind you." These words made Zhang Xiaoxiao's eyes turn red. This man. This was probably the most touching love words she had ever heard. No one in her last life and this life combined has said this to her, telling her that she can move forward bravely, and there will be someone behind her to help her bear everything. Let her do whatever she wants. This kind of taste really makes people feel good, and the mood is soaring. When someone gives you fearless courage, a new world opens up. Brother Song, You are so kind. Song Moding saw a lively interest in her face, and his answers made her extremely attractive. Her nose was slightly upturned, and the sides of her nose and cheekbones shone with light, so dazzling that she seemed to own the whole world. Her mouth was deftly raised at a pleasing angle, as if she was about to laugh at any moment. Her eyes were the purest black he had ever seen, eyes that were calm and lazy, but upon closer inspection, you could see intelligence and wisdom. A perfect woman is still her own daughter-in-law. A spontaneous sense of pride. Of course, I think so too. Zhang Xiaoxiao made a face. You are so humble. Okay, hurry up and eat. I'll inform my parents and we'll go to the county town together. They'd better send it back. Don't take it with you because it's not safe. She was surprised at first and then laughed, understanding that Song Moding had specially considered it for her. Okay, second brother. She blinked, and a slow smile touched her lips. Zhang Xiaoxiao thinks that the second brother is really normal. Some people give their children various names. But Song Moding's embarrassment showed otherwise. Could it be that Song Moding's mother was like the fashionable moms and dads of later generations, who had names like small bean buns, small potatoes, and small glutinous rice balls? It's really strange. Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi followed their daughter, and Fan Qiuying whispered to Zhang Xiaoxiao. How come you kid can't hide anything and say everything? In other words, your son-in-law is good and he doesn't care about anything. You have a good life. Xiao Song is really good. You don't know what that kid told me and your dad those words, let us definitely accept the money. What you say is what he means, and your family will listen to you. He also said that if a son-in-law is half a son, he is our son. If we have any difficulties, we must tell him. Zhang Xiaoxiao pursed his lips in joy. Mom, you seem to dislike your daughter now. Why do I feel abandoned? The pitiful look prompted Fan Qiuying to give her a chestnut. He is a hard-working, down-to-earth kind of person. And he is obviously more reliable than you, and more suitable to be a husband, a good husband. You should be nice to others, and don't be as heartless as before. Fan Qiuying tapped her forehead gently. Did you hear me? Zhang Xiaoxiao raised his head and showed a real smile this time. It's not a pretense of grievance. Okay, my daughter knows that I will definitely be a good wife. Mom, trust me. Don't worry. Fan Qiuying looked at her, carefully examining her happy eyes. It seems like you and your son-in-law have a really good relationship. Yes, Mom, I think Song Moding is very good, otherwise why would I marry him? That's good. Hold her shoulders, Fan Qiuying whispered. Your dad and I have asked about Xiao Song. I know, don't stare. Who is marrying their daughter without asking? Seeing her fierce eyes, Fan Qiuying quickly added. Your father and I are ordinary workers, but don't your eldest sister and your brother-in-law know Director Wang? People have said that Xiao Song is a good man, outstanding and highly motivated, but his mother died early and his father and stepmother didn't get along well with him. You also know how stepmother and stepson can get along well. But it didn't make him bitter and angry. He was an incredible man, worthy of being entrusted with him for life. I know, Zhang Xiaoxiao. My mom and dad are really good at investigating people. You also learn to be sarcastic. Your mother is not stupid and understands that there is something in your words. Arrived at the county seat. This time everyone went to the post office and credit union in a rush. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others are not exempt from vulgarity. Zhang Xiaoxiao saved 20,000 yuan in a credit union and sent 500 yuan to his second sister. He did not send that much because he was afraid of feeding the appetite of his mother-in-law. She kept the remaining money with her second sister in case she needed it in case of any emergency in the future. I sent 3,000 to my third brother and 3,000 to my eldest sister, and I will give them to them shortly. 10,000 yuan was left in the dormitory, which was locked tightly by Fan Qiuying. Won't send it away. Don't send it. There is no interregional remittance at this time. There are only two ways, one is to send it back, and the other is to take it back. Fan Jiuying felt that the goal of sending it back was too high and attracted attention. The postman looked up and down, and no one in the factory knew him. They have known the postman for decades. The remittance order for 10,000 yuan was enough to spread rumors in the factory. When the couple went back, their family would probably be crushed. It would be impossible if there were no thieves at night. For the sake of their family's stability, they definitely don't dare to send any remittance orders. Then the only thing left is to take it back. The couple had thought it through. Zhang Lishi and Fan Jiuying prepared to sew pockets on their vests and trousers, and tuck them in when the time came. They also pinned a few more pins for close protection and guaranteed safety. There are people and money. When Zhang Xiaoxiao found out, he was angry and funny. But I was also secretly worried. I only had 100,000 yuan, how could I bring it back? In addition to the more than 30,000 yuan of my husband's song moding, the two of them are indeed a wealthy family. The problem is that I can't think of a solution now. You can only take one step at a time. That's not right, I don't have any space. Zhang Xiaoxiao patted his forehead, how silly. Why did you forget about space? Song Moding watched his wife slap him on the forehead in a daze, with a smile on his lips. His joyful mood made him truly feel that he was a family man. There is a person who needs to be protected, cared for and loved by oneself, who can become one's other half, one's relative, one's own child's mother. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 249. Chapter 249 Bye. Farewell to Hyeguo, Gudali and the others, they are going shopping. Finally made a trip to the county town and still have so much money in hand. Everyone wants to go shopping. Buy something. They were going to go find Zhang Yu together later. Fan Jiuying, Zhang, mother and daughter, went to the department store and started shopping. Zhang Lishi and Song Moding looked at each other, and Wang and his son-in-law both smiled bitterly. When a woman buys something, she has no resistance. They all had a hunch that they would have to buy a lot of things today. It's really buying. Fan Jiuying thought that now that the ginseng was harvested, she had just enough time. She and Mrs. Song also discussed it and arranged the marriage for the two children in these 2 days. Some time ago, although I prepared a lot of things for them for their wedding. But now Fan Jiuying felt that the two children had received such a large sum of money, so they had to handle their marriage properly, so she took her daughter and insisted on buying clothes for her daughter. Actually, Zhang Xiaoxiao himself didn't feel that he had to buy any clothes. After all, the style and taste of clothes in this era are not suitable for me. According to her mother's wishes, if she gets married, she will probably have to wear a red cotton jacket and red cotton trousers. On such a hot day, if you cover yourself up like this, you may suffer from prickly heat for the rest of your life. This is what the old people think. But don't believe it, marriage was like this in those days. So in the end she had to make her own decision, otherwise she would be doomed according to what her mother wanted. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't like the style of the clothes, but he just pulled off a few pieces of fabric. After all, we are also people who came from that era. It's no problem to use a sewing machine to make clothes. Although there are also ready-made clothes in this era, most people prefer to make their own clothes. When we got to the fabric store, the colors were very monotonous, blue, gray, white, and red, and there was nothing to buy in other colors. Of course there are some good florals, but they are all monotonous and there is really no way to create any variety. Zhang Xiaoxiao bought a lot of fabrics. This made Fan Jiuying worried. Her daughter didn't have a sewing machine now. To make clothes, she would have to borrow a sewing machine. She didn't know if the forest farm had one. She would have to find out when she got back. Of course, Fan Qiuying is very convinced of her craftsmanship. Nowadays, people basically don't have any lines when making clothes. Clothes are all fat and big, and the same goes for pants. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't tell her mother. She was not going to let her mother make it. Since she was going to make her own wedding dress, she was going to make it herself. The farm director has a sewing machine in his home, which is the only one on the farm. Anyone who wants to buy clothes has to borrow them from others. It's still inconvenient. Of course, I also pulled some homespun cloth and cotton cloth, which are used to make bed sheets and quilt covers. Quilt covers are not fashionable for people in this era, and they usually make bed sheets and bed covers. However, Zhang Xiaoxiao made some bed sheets and quilt covers for the convenience of disassembly and washing. In addition to buying a series of items such as towels, quilts, blankets, pillow covers, etc., I bought a lot. Fan Qiuying, as the woman's head of household, naturally has to buy a lot of things for her daughter. All their furniture was made by their own men, and of course they still lack some toiletries. For example, the double happiness wash basin and thermos include pillow towels, toothbrushes, and cups. These things are all part of the woman's dowry. Especially Fan Qiuying, she actually saw a radio in a department store. You can't buy sewing machines or bicycles in this place, and radios are barely a rarity. Immediately I thought about it. Old MRS Song is an open-minded person, and she made it clear that the husband's three major items are definitely all in abundance. It will only be more, and he will never treat his daughter badly, so the bride's family will have to give her something as a dowry. In fact, I can't buy other things myself. Things like furniture are all made by myself, and it doesn't cost much. Just now, his daughter gave him 10,000 yuan, and his son-in-law knew all about it. If the bride's family doesn't come up with something, it would be a bit embarrassing for their own daughter, and it would be easy for others to look down on their natal family. So I reluctantly bought a radio. Fan Qiuying felt that she was wise. When she came here to see her daughter, she was afraid that she would need a ticket to buy things here. She had all the tickets in her family in her pocket, which she had saved for many years. There are bicycle tickets and even a TV ticket inside, but unfortunately you can't buy them here, but the radio ticket is still fine and can be used. She is also very generous and bought 2 red leather suitcases for her daughter. Zhang Xiaoxiao originally wanted to live or die. In this era, every wedding requires a red suitcase. In fact, most people can't afford a suitcase. They are just 2 red painted wooden boxes. Most people can't afford a red leather suitcase like this in a department store. It's not like Fan Qiuying is so generous. The salesperson knew at a glance that this must be a married woman. She had no choice but to buy 2 red leather suitcases. By the time Ling Ling Zone Zone was bought, Song Moding and Zhang Lishi had their hands full. The two of them were really smiling bitterly, knowing that nothing good would happen if 2 women got together. Looking at this, it's almost crazy to buy it. I can't wait to bring this department store back home. Zhang Xiaoxiao was afraid that he would treat his little niece badly, so he remembered to buy milk powder, canned food, and some snacks for the child during his free time. In fact, there are not many delicious snacks in this era, that is, things like glutinous rice sticks and trough cakes. Even if you want to buy other things, they are not available here. Looking at the beautiful floral fabrics, she had just pulled off several pieces to make some small clothes for her niece to wear. The ready-made clothes sold outside are not suitable for my niece. By the time they had finished shopping, it was almost dark, so Gudali and his patriots probably all went back. This time they couldn't go back to the farm even if they wanted to. The shuttle bus was gone a long time ago, so I carried a lot of things to Zhang Yu's house. Zhang Xiaoxiao guessed that her eldest sister and brother-in-law didn't know they were coming. At this time, everyone had finished dinner, so they bought some cooked food on the way. As expected, when they arrived, Zhang Yu and the others had just washed the pots and dishes and put them away. Unexpectedly, there was a knock on the courtyard door. When I opened the door again, I saw my father, mother, sister, and brother-in-law. Zhang Yu was also shocked, mainly because of how much stuff these 4 people carried. Is this a department store moved home? Hurrying to let people into the house, Qin Ming hurriedly greeted everyone to come in and sit down. Then fetch water for them to wash their faces. Zhang Yu went straight into the kitchen and quickly boiled water for cooking. One look showed that they hadn't eaten yet. When Zhang Xiaoxiao arrived at her eldest sister's house, she was not polite at all. She went directly to the Kong, where she held her little niece and played with her. This little guy is almost 1 year old now. And he started talking early, and he can actually call me mom and dad simply. Because Zhang Xiaoxiao helped this time, the child grew chubby and white. At first glance, he looked white and fat. It's so fun to hold in my arms. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 250. Chapter 250. If you don't come out, I'll be in trouble with you. Song Moding watched Zhang Xiaoxiao holding Niu Niu and having fun there, his eyes full of tenderness. This girl will definitely be a good mother in the future, you can tell just by looking at her care for Niu Niu. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw a sewing machine in the corner of her eldest sister's room at a glance. Although it doesn't look brand new, why does the eldest sister have a sewing machine at home? Fan Jiuying also saw something, and the two of them were immediately overjoyed. Isn't there something ready-made? Fan Jiuying wanted to cut clothes, but Zhang Xiaoxiao was stunned and refused to let her go. How does it feel to be kicked out by your own daughter who dislikes you? Fan Jiuying felt sour in her heart. Why is this girl still acting up at this time? At such a big age, she has never used a sewing machine. What would happen if this fabric was wasted? It's a pity that she didn't listen to her at all. Her daughter kicked her out directly, and they asked Song Moding and Zhang Lishi to move the sewing machine to the next door room. After all, the room next door is more convenient. If the eldest sister and the others take a rest for a while, they won't be disturbed. Then drive everyone out, lock yourself in the house and start doing it. Fan Jiuying stood outside the window and rubbed her hands anxiously. This girl isn't going to do anything random, is she? Here, Zhang Yu finally made dinner and served it to them. When she saw her mother standing under the windowsill, she was balancing her feet and looking into the house. Mom, what are you looking at? Come in and eat. Don't you know that your sister is still the same as before? I can't get over this temper. She keeps fooling around again and shuts herself in the room. She insists on making her own clothes. Tell me what happened to her when she was growing up. How can she still make clothes after using scissors? Does she know how to use a sewing machine? Fan Jiuying took the bowl and chopsticks from her daughter's hand. While scolding, I was worried. Those cloths. But it cost a lot of money. I remember when they were buying fabrics at that time, it was like a hero from Liangshan came down the mountain. The salesperson selling fabrics was so happy. Mainly because I have never seen such a generous purchaser. That's all money. As soon as I finished speaking, I heard the sound of the sewing machine being stepped on. Zhang Yu smiled between her eyebrows. Mom, you heard that she is very impressive. Don't underestimate Xiao Xiao. She has learned a lot on the farm, even though she has never done anything at home in the past 18 years. But in the past 18 years, she has learned a lot on the farm. You can always learn something. I have learned everything here that I didn't know at home. It's better not to worry about that and go in to eat quickly. I'll call Xiao Xiao to come over and eat first. I have plenty of time to make clothes, so there is no rush now. Fan Jiuying felt the same when she heard it, and when her eldest daughter said this, she felt sad in her heart. The children suddenly grew up, and it felt like a girl was growing up in my family, but the mother felt uncomfortable because she had to worry about everything in the past. But now it's better, people don't need her for anything. This feeling of loss is still quite strong. Zhang Yu called Zhang Xiao Xiao, you've been tired for a long day. Come here to eat first. You can do whatever you want after eating. I won't stop you. Hurry up, everyone is waiting for you. Zhang Xiao answered through the window. Sister, don't wait for me yet. I'll go over to eat right away. It's just a matter of 2 feet. I'll go over after stepping on it. You guys start eating first. Zhang Yu had no choice but to tell everyone not to wait for him, and everyone started eating with their bowls in hand. But everyone is worried, is this guy Zhang Xiao not hungry at all after a busy day? Not 10 minutes later, Zhang Xiao ran over, carrying a small floral coat in his hand. Handed it to the eldest sister proudly. Sister, I made this for our girl, put it on her quickly and see if it looks good. Zhang Yu was playing there with his Niu in his arms, but he didn't expect his sister to come. Fan Jiuying was eating her meal. When her daughter said this, she frowned. This girl never does anything serious. But when she saw Zhang Yu put on the beautiful floral blouse for her girl, even Fan Jiuying couldn't help but laugh. This little guy is really beautiful in this floral coat, especially this girl with 2 pigtails, fair skin, and dark eyes. This floral dress really looks a little different on her. Cute feeling. It's so cute that everyone likes it. Even Zhang Yu looked at her daughter and couldn't help but kiss her twice. I didn't expect my sister to have such good taste. This little dress is really beautifully made. I didn't see this little guy looking at the little floral clothes on his body, grinning, and then pulling at it with one hand. This little guy really thought it was a little flower. Lian Zhonglashi took a look there and couldn't help but praise him. Don't tell me, the clothes made by our daughter are really beautiful, my daughter. I didn't expect that you are really capable. You have learned everything in just 1 year. Zhang Xiao was eating his rice and felt hungry. Song Moding gave her a piece of shredded potatoes with chopsticks, and Zhang Xiao devoured it. Dad, don't you know, your daughter is very capable. Let me tell you, don't underestimate me. Your daughter is naturally smart. She learns anything very quickly. Zhonglashi was amused. You are really not ashamed, Xiao Song. Did you see that this is the wife you married? Song Moding smiled gently, staring at Zhang Xiao with a gleam in his eyes. Xiao is really smart. She learns everything very quickly. She is one of those talented and smart people. This time Fan Jiuying was happy. Have to. My son-in-law sees that his daughter is good at everything. Look at this old lady selling melons like this, which is embarrassing. But the couple are happy. The fact that the son-in-law said this about his daughter proves that the child really likes his daughter. Seeing their son-in-law protecting their daughter like this, their hearts blossomed with joy. Zhang Xiao finished his meal and went straight to the other side of the house. Zhang Yu cleaned out the 2 rooms next door, letting Zhonglashi and Song Moding live in one room, and Fan Jiuying and Zhang Xiao lived in the other room. Unfortunately, Zhang Xiao didn't go to bed at all. This night, the whole family could hear the clicking sound of the sewing machine in their sleep. When it dawned the next day, the sound of the sewing machine did not stop. Fan Jiuying got up in the morning to send her daughter away and her son-in-law to go to work. Today they decided not to leave at all during the day. Since her daughter was making clothes here, she would definitely not be able to finish them in 1 or 2 days, so they might as well stay here for 2 days. Song Moding went back by himself and found the old man's jeep to pull his things back. Zhonglashi walked with him. He was going back to clean up the house for his daughter. Even though Fan Jiuying was there, Niu didn't let her go to the nursery. She just stayed at home with her. Fan Jiuying hugged Niu and felt sorry for her daughter who stayed up all night. This guy couldn't stay up like this while making clothes. This man's body can't bear it. You kid, you can't sleep for a while and rest for a while before doing it. You can't make the clothes all at once. You're going to wear out your body day and night. What's the matter? Did you hear me? If you don't come out, I'll be in a hurry. Zhang Xiaoxiao opened the door and came out. End of this chapter.